Hey everyone, you're listening to Cinema 5000. My name is Mallory. This is my podcast. I know it's been a bit since I've done an episode of just regular old movies I've seen for the first time, but here we are. We're at 5,860 films. We're in October, but I haven't seen a lot of horror movies yet. We still got some time. Uh, we have 6 movies to talk about, so let's get started. The first picture we're going to talk about. Oh, I saw this a while ago. I saw it on opening night. I saw One Battle After Another from 2025, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. The tagline is, "Some search for battle, others are born into it." When their evil nemesis resurfaces after 16 years, a band of ex-revolutionaries reunite to rescue the daughter of one of their own. This stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Jason Finity, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, and Tiana Taylor. And I want to mention specifically that as good as Leonardo DiCaprio is, and as fantastic as Benicio del Toro is, and Sean Penn, very troubling character, but still great performance. This movie really belongs to Tiana Taylor. She's just really terrific as Perfidia Beverly Hills, who is a revolutionary who is fighting for her cause alongside Bob. But things kind of go awry when she interacts with Lockjaw, who is played by Sean Penn, and it sets her life off on a course that is truly a battle with herself and her life, and it's a really terrific performance. Like, for me, this might be the performance of the year so far. I just found like her performance to be so captivating and layered, and this is a character that is really stuck between a rock and a hard place, and the developments that happen to her are so sad, and she lingers over the entire picture even though she's not in much of the film. But we are left with Bob. Oh, Bob. Bob is played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and he is left to take care of him and Perfidia's daughter, Willa, who is played by Jason Finity. And then things go bad. Things become a battle. Truly. I mentioned Benicio del Toro. He is really terrific in this movie as a supporting character. He is part of the revolutionary storytelling as well. He plays Sensei Sergio Carlos, and he's great. Like, everybody in this movie is great. There's not a slouch. There's not really a moment of this motion picture I would say is like too slow or too fast. It's just so well crafted. It's kind of rare you see movies these days where it's just kind of like, yep, that was really great. And it brings me back to like seeing Sinners for the first time, a movie that just from start to finish has just got a really terrific cast, really terrific story, and the way it unfolds is just pure entertainment and just wonderful. And this really is that kind of motion picture as well, like one for the books. Really terrific. And I don't want to spoil it, but I think at this point a lot of people have seen it anyway. It looks like Letterboxd says that 895,000 people have logged this movie. That's a lot of people, and it's done pretty well for itself from what I can tell at the box office. So it's not only a very successful motion picture as far as its audience is going, but I feel like for me it's one of those movies that Paul Thomas Anderson has like added, it's kind of like another notch in his belt of his creative abilities. And I'm really interested to read the book that inspired this, which is Vineland, written by Thomas Pynchon. And I don't know what else to say. Yeah, just a terrific cast. Sean Penn is so terrifying, and I am really grateful this motion picture got made. And sadly, this is also a motion picture that feels more relevant than anything in recent times. Like, whoa, with like all the things going on in the world and all the atrocities committed against human beings and within the United States. Yeah, it's horrible, and this movie is able to talk about that indirectly, or maybe directly even. Oh boy, I'm not going to spoil, but yeah, I highly recommend you check out One Battle After Another from 2025, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I gave this 4 stars. It is not just a very well performed and edited film, directed terrifically. It's also really nice to look at. The scoring is great. Like, it just is like, quality. It's just quality filmmaking, performing, all of the above. There's not a weak link in this one. So is it a future 5-star rating? Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna see it again soon. I don't know when, but there's gonna be some night where I'm like, yeah, I can go see it. And I know this is playing in Vista Vision, not too far from me. I am north of Boston, and I could go, but it's just kind of not in the cards between like work and life and all that stuff. I wish I could, but I think I'm just going to have to skip it. Regardless, no matter how you see this movie, it's going to look great and it's going to be enjoyable. There's nothing different formats can hide, truly. It's a great one battle after another. Now, up next, I just want to briefly mention that I watched this short film, Conrad and Butler Take a Vacation, from 2000, directed by Noah Baumbach. Two friends take a vacation that doesn't go as planned. I don't remember most of this short. I just remember not really liking it. I just want to mention that I watched it. I found this to be a bit off character for Noah Baumbach as far as the performances go and the directing. And it is just a 30-minute short. I found it, I believe, on YouTube, but I didn't really enjoy myself. And I don't recall much of it. And that's the reality of podcasting about something that you watched a couple weeks ago. So Conrad and Butler Take a Vacation from 2000, directed by Noah Baumbach. I don't usually give shorts a star rating. Like, I might give it a heart if it's like really like, oh, this is like worth looking at. No, it's kind of a throwaway. I'm not a fan of it. It has, I guess, decent ratings on Letterboxd. It's a 3.1. Yeah, no, I would probably, if I gave this a star rating, I'd probably give this like 1.5 stars. But let's talk about something I did enjoy. It's Kiss of the Spider-Woman from 1985, directed by Hector Babenco. The tagline is, "Once upon a time, in a tropical island far away, there lived a strange woman." The story of two radically different men thrown together in a Latin American prison cell. One is Valentin, a journalist being tortured for his political beliefs. The other is Molina, a gay window dresser who fills their lonely nights by spinning romantic fantasies drawn from memories of old movies. Valentin is played by Raul Julia, just a terrific performer that we lost really young. Many years ago when he passed. He passed away around the time that the movie Street Fighter was released, and I was only really familiar with him from his work in the Addams Family movies. But now that like I'm older and have seen more movies with Raul Julia in them, he's like always really fantastic, and it's just so sad. He was really like just a really tremendous performer. And William Hurt plays Molina, the window dresser who has these fantasies and stories of, among things, the Spider-Woman, and his tales just sort of distract the men from what they're experiencing in prison. I have knowledge that this is based on a book, and it is missing certain sections of the book. And I know the new movie musical is out, and that's based on the musical that was done in the, I believe, the early 90s. Now, this is a very simple kind of story. It's just about these two men and the dynamic between them and the relationship that spurns, and then the fantasies that they sort of, use to tell themselves like everything will be okay. Along the way, though, through these visions of fantasy and filmmaking tales and such, we do have performance by Sonia Braga, who is playing not just the Spider-Woman, but a couple other characters in these films. How do I explain this? I think this is a really nice film. It is a bit sad and tragic for these characters because they really have no chance to live their life because of imprisonment and government crackdown on political activism. How do I say, though? It's like a very okay, what's the best way to say it? It's a very dramatic adult picture. How about that? William Hurt is really good in this movie. It was a good performance from him. I'm not usually a fan of him in movies. I think he's a bit flat, and I think this is probably the best performance I've ever seen him do. And Raul Julia, like, as much as I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so great and like everything, yeah, he's really good in this too, so no surprise. And Sonia Braga, the presence that are needed for like these scenes where she's playing this actress in movies, she's just like really captivating. It's terrific casting. It is a very nice motion picture, but it is so sad and depressing about the things that they're experiencing, and then like the way that the movies that are being explained from Molina, like the way they all tie back to the experiences the men have as well. Really like captivating. I liked this movie a lot. I gave it 3.5 stars. I found it to be just like really like, oh my gosh, like keep going. Like I'm like so into this. I was very taken with this film. I do think that there are some filmmaking choices made along the way that don't quite work for me, and that's pretty much everything that happens outside of the prison cell. But regardless, this is a movie about these two characters, and the performances are really solid, and the world that they build for themselves, I think, is very, very dramatic and like worth checking out. So I definitely recommend Kiss of the Spider Woman from 1985, directed by Hector Babenco. And yeah, William Hurt won the Oscar for Best Actor for this motion picture. Was Raul Julia nominated? I would hope so. Let me look. I can't remember if I looked this up or not. He wasn't. He should have been. This was nominated for Best Picture for the 1986 Oscars. As I said, William Hurt won Best Actor in a Leading Role. Best Director, Hector Babenco, and then nominee for Writing, Screenplay based on material from another medium. So don't just take my word for it that this is worth your time. I will be seeing the musical movie with Jennifer Lopez that just came out in theaters. I don't quite know when, but I will be going. I am interested to see how this story translates into the musical adaptation for the musical on Broadway to then into theaters, and it's directed by Bill Condon. Now, Bill Condon has made some movies I quite enjoy. Gods and Monsters, Sister, Sister. He's also made trash, like Beauty and the Beast. Yes, the musical redo live action with Emma Watson. I hate that movie. So we'll see. We'll see how it is. I'm very curious if I will come out liking it or just thinking it's garbage. Anyway, another film we're going to talk about. It's Him from 2025, directed by Justin Tipping. Greatness demands sacrifice. After suffering a potentially career-ending brain trauma, Cameron Cade receives a lifeline when his hero, legendary 8-time championship quarterback and cultural megastar Isaiah White, offers to train Cam at Isaiah's isolated compound that he shares with his celebrity influencer wife. But as Cam's training accelerates, Isaiah's charisma begins to hurtle into something darker. Tariq Withers plays Cam, and I think this is a good performance. He's kind of playing this innocent guy here who's just, he's really good at football, but he's got some, stuff going on that feels a little off to him. And then Isaiah in the picture, who's played by Marlon Wayans, really starts to challenge like how he sees reality and what's going on. Like, what is the reason for like why he is at Isaiah's compound and like what's going on here? I wanted to like this movie because it's a very nice looking movie, like good world building. It feels creepy. It feels off. It feels very, it very much insists upon itself, and not in a bad way. I think in a good way. I don't think there's anything wrong with a movie having a vision for a world it wants to create and really going for it. However, the storytelling here is just far too thin for this to be a successful movie for me. And it's really too bad because I think Marlon Wayans, as much as he is much too old to be playing this character, no, he totally convinced me. I was like, okay, Marlon Wayans, you are not somebody who'd be a quarterback at your age, but it doesn't really matter because he's so good and acting is acting. I was left a bit cold by this because it kind of telegraphs really early like what's going on here. And so the the revelation rather, I wouldn't say twist, it's all building up to it. The revelation of what is really the him story and the things going on with Isaiah and his life and his wife. Yeah, you know what's coming. I was a bit disappointed by that because the way it really conveyed to the audience about everything was it's just so thin in the way that it could have had a more complex way of talking about sports and management and ownership. You know where I'm going with this. It could have done so much more with those things that it wants to talk about in a more satisfying way, and it just takes the easy route. And this is in no way the best version of what this movie could be. And I am so curious if there was stuff cut out of this movie to really dumb it down for audiences too. Because this is not a very long film. This is easily a movie that could have been like 2 hours long and really had a lot to say. But it doesn't. It just like quick cuts to this. It's like, okay, this is what's been going on, and these are like the reasons why. And I I just felt it was really lazy. So I'm so curious, like what like the original script was for this, because what this movie is, I want to believe there was more here because it's just too little for what this movie is building towards. And I think at times, yeah, I didn't mind the visuals, but then it tried to like let that be the thing that was really selling the motion picture, like the imbalance of story versus what you're seeing on screen. So yeah, I found this to be disappointing. Not a true disaster, but just like a very like, well, is that really what's happening here? And if it is truly what this movie was, yeah, I can see how you would maybe not want to delve into that kind of material about the player and the, the hero worship kind of thing and the dark side of that and sports management. Yeah, yeah, I'm disappointed. I I wanted this to be better. I think that's all I can say. Yeah, so Him from 2025, directed by Justin Tipping. I gave this 2 stars. It did feel a bit eye rolly at the end because it was kind of like, yeah, that's where this was going. And then the real ending happened. I'm like, yeah, I kind of knew this was where it was going. And I just wish it had been better at telling that kind of story. I really do. But it looks great. Yeah. And Marlon Wayans is really terrific. So there. Um, Up next, we have Bone Lake. Since 2024, I think it played some festivals in 2024, but is now getting released in 2025. It's directed by Mercedes Bryce Morgan. The tagline is, "What's your body count?" A couple's romantic vacation at a secluded lakeside estate is upended when they are forced to share the mansion with a mysterious and attractive couple. In this starkly hilarious and seductive horror story, a dream getaway spirals into a nightmarish maze of sex, lies, and manipulation, bringing terrifying secrets to light and triggering a bloody battle for survival. This has the kind of opposite problem that Him does, because this movie tells you a lot of things of why it's doing what it's doing. I think in some ways it's even a little bit overwritten. Nevertheless, I found this to be like just the right balance of like kind of cheesy, kind of ridiculous, and kind of like out there in what it was trying to do, and maybe not as polished as a motion picture as it could have been. But I enjoyed myself with this movie, Bone Lake. Um, Sage is played by Maddie Hassan. I thought she looked like so much like Alicia Cuthbert. And she's in a relationship with Diego, who's played by Marco Pigosi. And they get this wonderful house that they're going to rent, and they're so excited, and they just want to have a couple's time, like couple's weekend, oh my gosh, the lake's over there, beautiful house, time to ourselves. However, knock knock, who's at the door? Oh, people who are also staying here and also have a code to the door. They're played by Alex Rowe and Andra Nikita. They are playing Will and Sin, not like Cindy, but Cinnamon. uh Oh boy. Now this isn't like a terrific movie in any sense, but I still found it entertaining, and I think the performers like really met the material pretty well for where it was at. I liked the dynamic between Sage and Diego. Like, they're the stars of the film, but then we get Sin, and Sin is she just feels like I don't know. She's kind of a ridiculous character. But you get why, like, pairing her with Will, who's played by Alex Rowe, really works, because he has this like look to him that is like he's not like an everyday kind of person. He's got these eyebrows that like stick up, and you're just kind of like, yeah, he's kind of up to no good. What's going on here? As things progress, there's a lot of like games between the couples about like what they know about each other and how they feel about their relationships. And then there's like some really egregious behavior by Will and Sin when it comes to how they talk to and interact with Sage and Diego. Like bullshit, like, oh my god, who the hell are you to do that, crazy stuff. And then it turns very nasty, and I'm not going to spoil it because it's a brand new movie, but as much as I found like it to be a little bit much in how it wanted to really hammered down how couples work or don't work and the secrets we tell or don't. I left the theater like having an okay time. So I had to give this one 3 stars. Um I do wish this was like a slightly more campy movie. It is kind of campy in its own right in some ways. And the humor is all right. This is like the most mild of 3-star recommendations, period, because I was kind of in the very perfect mindset to watch this movie. I had spent the day in New York City. I had gone to see Avatar: The Way of Water and like had like a fun time at karaoke party with my friends. And my bus home was at 1 a.m. and I was like, well, I think if I go see a movie that's like gonna keep me awake, I can get to that bus no problem at 1 a.m. I'm in like New York City near Times Square, and I'm like, I don't really want to go see a movie that I'm interested in at this point because it's just got to distract me. If it's terrible, I'll just start using my phone. I just need somewhere to sit. And this really worked out for the timing. And I think this was the perfect balance of just like, I don't really have to care much about this movie. It doesn't have to be anything home to write about, you know. I was really surprised though that this was like a Bleecker Street release and not like a Shudder. This feels like a movie you discover on Shudder. 1,000,000%. But it also feels like a movie I don't think everybody's gonna enjoy. I would never say to anybody, hey, you gotta see Bone Lake. It's more like if you think you'll enjoy Bone Lake based on the trailer, you will enjoy Bone Lake. Yeah, I don't know if I'll remember this like a couple weeks from now or anything like that, but I had a decent time watching it anyway. So yeah, I can't really spoil it or anything because it is still playing in theaters. But Bone Lake from 2024 now in theaters, directed by Mercedes Bryce Morgan. I give this one 3 stars. Yeah, it is kind of what it is. And speaking of movies where it is kind of just where it is, what it is rather, we have TRON Ares from 2025, directed by Joachim Roning. The tagline is "No Going Back." A highly sophisticated program called Ares is sent from the digital world into the real world on a dangerous mission, marking humankind's first encounter with AI beings. Oh boy. Now, I kind of went into this expecting to not really have a decent time. I was like, well, the visuals are going to deliver anyway. As you may or may not know, Nine Inch Nails is doing the music for this one after Daft Punk did Tron Legacy. So we're going to have some cool music, cool things to really get us, you know, there with some of our senses. So storytelling, that's the question. Jared Leto plays Ares, and I hate to say it, but he's actually cast well as Ares because he is enough of a very not emotional person and kind of not interesting himself that I didn't really expect him to be anything other than this AI person. I didn't really need him to do much, and he just kind of has to show up and exist as this, you know, creation, not necessarily to be an emotional one, not to really have any, you know, thing captivating about him. He just kind of has to be there in service of the story. And he kind of works, I hate to say it. Greta Lee plays Eve Kim. Eve Kim is the NCOM CEO who kind of has to face off in some ways, in a business sense, against Julian Dillinger, who's played by Evan Peters. Well, let's just say he kind of Dillinger, he kind of decides to go a little far with technology, a little too far for the likings of his mother, Elizabeth, who's played by Gillian Anderson. Like he's dabbling in ways that make the board of the Dillinger Corp very not happy. Oh boy, because like these robot things he's like made up are going to be, you know, crossing the lines of AI and humanity. I mean, I can't really spoil it. So there's this quest. Now, I'm not going to talk about the story anymore from this, but there's this quest that kind of bleeds and breaks the boundaries between what happens in, so to speak, the grid or the computer world versus what is happening in the natural world with people. I liked how this movie was not shy about really putting people in the computer. I repeatedly thought of the moment from Zoolander when they're like banging on the iMac and they're like, it's in the computer. Oh my gosh, I thought about that. And then there's a number of callbacks to Tron Legacy in this movie, which I think was a good thing. Now, is this a better movie than Tron Legacy? In some ways, I hate to say it. Yeah, it is. I think Tron Legacy is a movie that is too long for what it is. I think its performances are probably better than in this movie, but I do think Tron Legacy has some dullness to it as it moves along. I mean, it is a very lovely looking movie with its blues and blacks and the neon colors. This is also a good looking movie with a lot of usage of red colors, and we get into the grid, you know. I think Greta Lee is good here, but she's not as good as some of the other performances in Tron Legacy. And Evan Peters is fine. I mean, he's kind of playing a very unenjoyable character purposefully. I do want to mention, though, that Jodie Turner-Smith as Athena, who works as a counterpart to Ares in the AI robots, I liked her performance. Like, I found like she did a better job of doing what Jared Leto was supposed to do, which is be this, AI being, but I think she's better at it. I think she's really, really good, and I've liked her in a number of things already over the years. This kind of does like the side character thing okay. There's not too many side characters. We just have Hassan Minaj, Arturo Castro, and Cameron Monaghan, and who else? Sarah Desjardins. Yeah, she works with Hassan Minaj. So yeah, there's not like a lot of working parts in this film. It kind of takes a kind of straight line. It's not too distracting with the storytelling. It majorly reminded me of like Terminator 2, which I'm not saying is like a sign of its quality or anything like that. Regardless of everything that's going on in this movie, visuals, music, performances, story, all that stuff, I really enjoyed myself. To me, this is like popcorn cinema at its best, where it takes all these things from the predecessors in the series and really builds upon them. It makes it, a little bit more relevant of a conversation for what the world is now, and then has some fun with it and isn't too serious about it, though I don't know about Jared Leto. He's kind of serious, but I don't want to think too much about what this movie is doing with technology and what the quest is, and I don't really want to explain it to you either to spoil it, but I just had a really fun time watching this. I think back to the times that I go to the theaters like during the summer, and I wish this had kind of been a summer release. Like, I would have had a ball like watching this on a Friday night in the summer. Instead, I'm watching it on a Friday afternoon in October, which isn't to say I lost too much, but just it feels like more like a summer blockbuster movie to me. And I don't know what else to say, because I don't really want to say all the things that came to mind about it, but I can see myself in the future watching this movie again and like doing a double feature with like The Net, the Sandra Bullock movie The Net, which I've always been a big fan of. And I work for a technology company, and the way that this movie talks about technology, like, it didn't really bother me. I don't expect movies to really be very smart and have like a lot of consistency in like its messaging and the way that it uses technology, though this did kind of remind me of Hackers at one point, which is not a bad thing. Like, the most egregious thing I've ever seen in a movie that was really about technology is the movie Black Hat. That movie is very dumb with technology in very concerning ways that really upset me. But Tron Ares, it's fluff. It is fun, great looking fluff with great music. And I'm really surprised. Maybe it's my low expectations, but I had a lot of fun watching this. And I have to give it 3.5 stars. Yeah, that's more than Tron Legacy. I did not expect to be giving this a higher rating than Tron Legacy. I just had a really solid time with this one. I don't know what else to say. It just hit, even when I was kind of being like, well, is this movie made for me? It's made for people who have seen the other Tron movies and like can overcome a lot of the issues that general audiences, this is for Tron fans for sure. It's not for regular people. You're gonna hate this movie probably, but I had a good time. I don't know what else to say. Oh yeah. Maybe one day I'll talk about it on a rewatch recap episode and have a little bit more spoilers about it, because yeah, it's not a smart movie. No. But it is very much a movie, and I'm cool with that. I can roll with the ridiculousness of a Tron film in 2025 and Jared Leto leading a movie. Oh man, he didn't need to be in this. I'm like, yeah, he's not bad. He wasn't really a distraction, but come on. Who else could have starred in this movie? If Jared Leto wasn't producing and the movie still got made, who else would be really good as like an AI killer robot dude? Yeah. I don't know. It almost kind of works that he's not very likable. I did have to laugh. The ending of this movie is there's a moment that I just really didn't like. And then in the credits, I saw that Jared Leto had a hairstylist, and for, the movie, you see what his hair looks like. He just looks like he got out of the shower and didn't dry his hair at all, or even really brush it. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I think that's the episode. You're just gonna have to trust me when I say I really like Tron Ares, and you're also gonna have to trust me when I say I don't think a lot of people are gonna like the movie. But yeah, that is what I have seen in recent times. Coming soon to the podcast. Well, I did rent the movie The Funhouse, the Tobe Hooper movie. It was playing at Regal Cinemas at the beginning of the month of October for the October like horror fest thing where they're showing like a horror movie every single day. And I couldn't go to that. So I rented the movie The Funhouse. So I'll be watching that soon. Other things that are coming to theaters. Let's see. Looks like a bunch of movies I have no interest in seeing, but I do want to see The Kiss of the Spider Woman, like I said, the musical with J-Lo. I have a chance to go see It Was Just an Accident, so I might be able to go see that. And then The Secret Agent, maybe if things work out right. Yeah, next episode we'll see. It could be an interesting one where I just watch like 4 movies, or maybe I like watch a movie a day and get really lucky. But anyway, I'm Mallory. Thank you again thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you for listening to my podcast. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't rated it, rate it. Cinema5000.com is the website. On the blog, I update where I put the YouTube videos, and if you want to follow on YouTube, it's Cinema 5000 Podcast. On Bluesky, it's Cinema 5000. And if you want to send an email, send it to cinema5kpod@gmail.com. We'll talk again soon. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.